What do you remember from your last day of high school? I'm sitting here trying to think of even one vague memory about my last day and I can't remember anything. I didn't care and I didn't go to graduation. Nothing lol. We all signed each other's shirts and pretended to be sad about leaving. One of the best days of my life. I was horribly bullied for years, so walking out of that door for the last time meant so much freedom. The most eccentric guy in my class thanked me for being his friend. He wore a black trench coat and put bukkake on our Scrabble board in class, then refused to define it. In my yearbook he called me a real-life princess. I remember being so damn happy it was finally over. High school was awful. Absolutely nothing. I actually had a really good high school experience, but I honestly don't remember my last day. I remember graduation, but not the actual last day of school. Nothing, really. I remember my graduation ceremony, but my actual last day of high school was just another day where I probably had an hour of high school then college and work to do for the rest of the day. Nothing super memorable. How happy I was to be leaving. I had been bullied for years racism, so I wrote my last exam, got in my parents' car and drove off to a new life in a much larger city. I didn't even empty my locker. Was such a relief to leave. One girl pulled my chair from under me and I fell on my butt in front of the whole class. I remember feeling really nervous and excited at the same time. I also remember feeling like I had accomplished something really big. Skipping out on the school's grad party with my close friends and spending it at my house instead. None of us were sad to be done with high school. Lamau honestly I don't, sweating face. We were all talking about our spring break plans and prom. A few days later we're in a pandemic and I never saw those people again lol. None of my friends were talking to each other, so I didn't go the day anyways. High schoolers were dumb in my day. I hope they are less so these days. Missed opportunities for memories you never get a second chance at. I graduated in December so my last day was the day before winter break. Not much changed for me since I couldn't start college until the summer semester so I just worked and saw my friends on the weekends as per the usual. My senior year was around when we were on lockdown, so I did my senior year remotely so I do not remember anything from honestly the whole year. Absolutely nothing. How all the popular guys starting talking to the not popular girls and dated them, it was like the caste system broke down. We had a notebook war. We were all throwing notebooks at each other and paper balls we picked everything up afterwards, don't worry. I had a weird thing going on at the time. I think I was under so much stress that I sort of dissociated or something. I could see and experience and respond to the world, but it was like I was seeing it through a screen, when you're too close to window screen, and when you move your eyes the effect it creates. That's how I was seeing the world. It lasted around 2 weeks, or so. It's never happened again. Also during this time, I thought I was pregnant. 3 months later I had an extremely heavy period. All tests came up negative. Nothing was 23 years ago after all. I vaguely remember signing yearbooks and then hanging out in the field drinking cheap beers in the back of our trucks later that afternoon. It was 30 years ago in the rural Midwest. Me turning around and flipping the whole thing off. We didn't have a lot going on in our classes the last month or two of school except preparing for AP exams. My math teacher would make us do a test 1 day a week to keep us from forgetting the material, but the other 4 days we played card games. My English teacher had us prepare outlines of essays we could write for the AP Lit exam, and afterwards, I played Triforce Heroes on the 3DS with the other people at my table. The game doesn't allow 2 players either 1 or 3, so I wasn't able to play it with my brother and had never tried out the multiplayer mode before. It was like a Royal Rumble. So many people planned fights for the last day since they couldn't be punished. Outside of that it was fun. We had a carnival with games and prizes, photo booth, basketball tournaments in the gym, and a pep rally. Signing shirts and yearbooks, taking pictures, going home early, that's about it. I can't remember. I mean I'm actually trying to recall something, anything. I'm picturing the hallway my locker was in. But I can't remember a single thing that I know happened on that exact day. Took 2 final exams and blasted dog days are over by Florence the Machine from my car BC my high school's mascot is the Bulldogs ha ha ha. Graduated 3 days later. There was a weird atmosphere. We were going on spring break and teachers were giving us a lot of assignments to do. They had a feeling we wouldn't be coming back. My band director urged us to take our instruments and music home. My botany teacher had us plant as many plants as possible to track during break. I planted so many I had to ask my parents to pick me up. My biology teacher told us to be safe. Some students thought we'd be back immediately after our extended break and others knew we wouldn't be coming back but hoped we were wrong. Honestly, my last half of my senior year was terrible. My best friend of many years decided to tell everyone and their mother things I asked her to keep secret, causing a split with my friend group I. So I had no close friends to hang out with for lunch or social events. The last day of school we all had to go bowling mandatory and I went with this girl who I was kind of friends with, and while in the car she told me all about how ghosts talk to her lol. Absolutely nothing. I really don't remember the last day. I assume I took some final exams? I do remember graduation and prom. I remember the science teacher brought in a Batman cake for the class. When we arrived at school in the morning all of the year group was told to go to the main hall where they had free breakfast for us croissants pastries. I remember graduation, taking pics with people I was literally never going to see again. I don't remember it, I escaped early in the school year and homeschooled myself. I remember the day I got results that I passed though. I was on vacation with my best friend near Cape Town. It was a quietish beach day, and I was happy, at peace. Literally everyone was out in the playing fields having a good time and signing shirts, taking photos etc. I had no friends tbh, and one of the office ladies knew this and she let me leave early cause she could tell I was feeling uncomfortable by it all. The whole school bus spontaneously breaking into Wonderwall. My Earl Disney moment, smiley face. Before my senior year I switched schools. From a bad one to a better one. In the bad one I was being bullied. I just remember feeling some sense of being saved from bullying. In the better one, I was glad I was done with school. At least with that part of school where I had to take exams to get into the next one. Broke dress code by wearing my running shorts lol. Wore chacos and took a walk on the shaded cross-country trail around the school. Drank sparkling grape juice in my homeroom to celebrate. Me and my boyfriend at the time drove off campus for the last time in his 2002 electric blue Mustang convertible blasting rock music. They made us practice how our graduation ceremony was going to go in the devil's asshole type weather. I was cranky AF and had been looking forward to college move-in day all month long so I just did what I was told and wandered off when I could. Thankfully it was just a half day so I went home to nap after and met up with my friends later. Then back home to sleep the rest of the day. I was going through some things with family so I was always drained of energy. At the very end of the day Vitamin C's graduation song was played over the PA system. My heart immediately sank when I heard it, and to this day I still get that same feeling whenever I hear that song 20 years later. I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking about that moment. And I didn't even like high school and was excited to move on with my life, just a reflection of the collective heavy emotion I think. I don't remember anything, actually. I remember graduation, of course, but my actual last day I have no memory of. I did genuinely like high school for the most part, but by that point, I was fully ready to leave and start going to college. It's been 20 years and I remember it being just a thing. My books were all given back, my yearbook signed, laughter with friends and walking home. In a lot of ways the last day of high school was anticlimactic as you expect there to be virtual fireworks or some such when in reality it is just the end. I took and failed the driving test the same day. I remember the dress I wore and walking in and telling my best friend, still my best friend, that I failed and our summer was ruined lol. I remember nothing else from that day. Myself and some other seniors came together to give the principal a Gatorade bath while he gave a speech in front of the entire school. He was so mad but it was so funny. Apparently someone shot off a bottle rocket. I vaguely remember people signing my yearbook, but that's all I remember from the last day of classes. There was a tradition for the seniors to have an all-night tailgate in the parking lot the night before. My friends and I didn't go. Those that did decided that their prank would be to create barriers to block the parking lot with the trash from the party. All the seniors had to do that day was have each of their teachers sign a slip to approve graduation. You could leave school once it was done, only would have taken an hour. Teachers were instructed to withhold signatures until trashed parking lot was cleaned up. Lol, my last day once I was done with my exam, I went straight for a job interview. I cut and went to the lake. My teacher asking me if I was sure. My parents pulled me out to homeschool. I was sure at the time. That high school was terrible. But then I just ended up working instead of homeschooling, so I had to get my GED later. Although trading in 5 years grades 9-13 back then of high school for 3 months of studying for my GED and several years of work experience seemed like a better deal. Until I found out that not all high schools are underfunded shoals and some have great youth programs. I wish I could have gone to one of those schools. Laughing at people who were crying about losing touch. Never went to high school.